Welcome to Casual Friday, the very first Casual Friday since the start of the regular season. I don't know if I love the timing right now, but we do have a lot to talk about. And when I say we, I mean myself, XJ, and my partners in legal yet potentially offensive activity, Mensa the GOAT, Shawn the Great. I can take a strong guess. But Shawn, how are the vibes and what's kind of like your overall takeaway from the season so far?
The vibes are, to me, they're mutinous. And they're mutinous because I don't know if this team and this organization can put up with a third consecutive season of unseriousness, or for an extended period of unseriousness. 21, 20. So obviously the We Here season happened. Vibes are off the charts. The next year's season 21, 22, we start 5-1. But the wheels come off quickly and it was just a malaise of The next year, last season, we started 10-13. And it was who should start and who should get minutes and bench this guy, take this guy to rotation, what have you. But it righted itself, and we finished with 47 or 48 wins. 40, whatever, I don't remember. I'm getting old. But now, again, this team is 2-3, and they haven't won a home game. Now, their 3 losses, you can explain them away. I mean, they game 1 against Boston. Boston, if they stay healthy, might just steamroll the league. At New Orleans on a back-to-back after Atlanta, and I said this on Twitter, Atlanta on a Thursday night and New Orleans on a Friday night is can be a problem for NBA basketball players. Lots of time in their hands. Like to be in Atlanta Thursday night, play on Friday night. You can land in New Orleans at midnight, get to your hotel room at 1 a.m. and still have the whole night ahead of you in New Orleans. And trust me, I know, because my bachelor party is in New Orleans. And then to play Saturday night. So, all right, cool. And then obviously when Tuesday and Wednesday back-to-backs against Cleveland, it's hard to beat the same team 2 days in a row. But it's not that they're losing. It's not the what, it's the how. And we will probably get to a big reason of the how later in the show. But I don't think that this team and the majority of this team, which is full of really good players, like the Knicks from 1 to top to bottom, top 1 to 10, may have the best 1 to 10 in the league. Definitely the best 3 to 10 in the league. I don't know if that group of good players is going to put up with what is going on right now.
I've co-signed all of that. I have some very similar concerns. So it's good to get your weigh in on the vibes right now. It doesn't sound the best, but I'll save my opinion on the vibes for last. But Mensa, how you feeling? How are the vibes?
Well, the vibes in Mensa Agenda Land are outstanding. So that's the first thing. But as far as the Knicks vibes go, the vibes are mellow. I don't think that I'm at least not at a place where 2-3, 5 games into the season. There are some concerning trends. There are some encouraging trends. I'm not necessarily worried about, losing again, a back-to-back one, taking 1-1 against Cleveland, which is a good basketball team. I mean, they didn't have all their guys, but still a good basketball team. And like Shawn says, very hard to beat a team 2 games in a row. The Boston loss was really painful, but look, they just dropped, I think, like $159 on Indiana. So, that team is rolling. They're very good. And we played a very competitive game with 2 of our guys not looking their best. And then I chalked up the New Orleans loss to freaky deaky voodoo shit that happens in New Orleans because, that was just it was just out of the ordinary for the New York Knicks to shoot that bad, have that many turnovers, at least the New York Knicks that I know. So not quite worried about the season yet. Encouraged with the wins, encouraged that we beat Cleveland in Cleveland. I'm encouraged that we beat Atlanta in Atlanta. We're 2-1 on the road, and I don't expect us to go winless at Madison Square Garden. So I'm not panicking. I'm comfortable with the vibes. I think the vibes are mellow right now.
That's a very, very level-headed perspective that you just shared with our audience right now. I have a similar level-headedness, but I'm just annoyed. So the vibes right now for me are just annoying. Like I'm not worried, just annoyed. And like I almost don't even feel like the Knicks deserve a casual Friday from us. I almost want to make it like a formal Friday, like where we talk about how the Knicks need to stop being casual and play with a sense of urgency. Like, oh, no more casual for now. But again, like I said, and like you said, Mensa, and really both of you kind of had this part of the tone in what you were saying. Everything needs to be couched with the fact that it's very early. To me, that was a bad loss against Cleveland. And, you know, it is tough to beat a team that you play the same team twice in a row. The last time the Knicks beat a same team twice in a row was they just beat the Cavs 3 times in a row in the playoffs. So they showed that you can do it if you have a team's number. They just haven't looked good on offense so far. And there's some good things about it. There have been some good things about their offense. There's been some bad things. Most NBA teams are not super efficient early on in the season. Like they typically get better as time goes on. So we can obviously expect some shooting regression for the Knicks that'll improve over time. But, you know, I'm just annoyed with the turnovers, the reckless passing. You know, you might say, oh, well, they're passing a lot more than they were last year. Well, no, actually, they have the exact same number of passes per game and are going at a slightly faster pace, meaning that if anything, they're passing the ball or moving the ball slightly less on average than they were last year. So that's not the reason for the turnovers. And despite leading the league in offensive rebounding percentage, you know, their calling card, and rebounding on the offensive end at an even higher rate than they were last season, they're a bottom 5 offense. And, you know, to me, the largest part of why is that they just haven't made 2-point shots. And we'll get into more specifics about that as we go along, like who's not making the 2-point shots and why. But yeah, it's early. I'm not super concerned. I'm more annoyed than concerned. And I think there are actually many bright spots to be encouraged about. So I'm going to share my bright spots, but I want to hear from you guys first. And let's transition into our first segment. We're unveiling a new segment here on Casual Friday. It is called Shout Out. So if you're listening to this pod, I can only assume that you're familiar with the game ball that John and Jeremy do when they give each of their game ball for the last week of play. Here on Casual Friday, we're not going to give a game ball. We're going to each pick someone or something that we want to give a shout out to. So GMAC, the GOAT producer, gave us a few options to choose for our shout outs. You guys ready to hear the options?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. So first option for a shout out, we have RJ Barrett. I doubt any of us here want to give RJ a shout out. Probably
I have no idea who would do that.
Next, we have Emmanuel Quickly. We have Mitchell Robinson. And we have Kith, the fashion brand behind the Knicks City Edition uniforms this year, and also the last few. So, you know, I think we should go ahead and start with Mensa. And I have no idea who he might want to shout out. So do you want to take it, Mensa?
Yes. So I am currently in the process of starting a change.org, a change.org petition to have RJ Barrett's current stat line hung in the Louvre. 42% from 3, 81% from the from the free throw strike.
Crazy.
That is all I want. I don't want anything else for Christmas. Santa, you can pack it up. You can put it back on the sleigh. I don't care. I have what I want. RJ Barrett has been arguably the Knicks' best player on both ends of the court. Mitchell Robinson's been great, but he's not giving you the creation juice that RJ Barrett is giving. And what I'm getting from RJ Barrett is what I don't want to say I expected, because there's been so much bad data from RJ Barrett as far as his stats over the first 4 seasons of his career. But I did Yeah, I don't. It's not. It's like somewhere in between expectation and hope where I was at with RJ Barrett because of what we saw over the 8-game sample size that he gave us in the playoffs between games 3 of the Cleveland series and game 5 of the Miami series, and then you kind of saw it continue to trend in the FIBA tournament, and now we have an RJ Barrett who is not making as many poor decisions as he used to. I want to say that a switch flipped, but it's more just this is a kid who was a kid and he's now 23 years old and he's playing like a guy who is maturing right in front of our eyes. You know, the one thing that we as adults do when we go from, you know, adolescence to adulthood is we just stop making as many stupid decisions as we used to make. You know, like you are a summation of your decisions. And that was kind of RJ Barrett's stats. Now we're seeing that he's making more open threes, that he's committing on defense, that he is continuing to pass the ball and just playing well and being what the New York Knicks need, despite what the rotation may be. He may get pulled at a time where he's hot. It's not like he's coming back in the game and he's cooling off. He's continuing to keep that momentum, and he's been playing so well. And I would argue that we were going to beat Cleveland if RJ Barrett is healthy. So while I'm shouting out RJ Barrett, I also want to give a big round of boos to Derek Elmer Fudd White of the Boston Celtics, because if it weren't for him, we would probably be 3-2.
I mean, that's well said. It's crazy, Mensa, how the Knicks went from, at least in my opinion, being better with RJ playing like fewer minutes in the past to being completely trash without him.
Yeah, look, last night they were it was like a Pusha T album. It was bricks everywhere. You know, brick this, brick that. The first quarter was really, really hard to watch. And but I don't want to take it away from RJ Barrett's moment by, you know, just disparaging the rest of the team. I just think that he's been really good for us through 4 games because he missed 1. And I'm just really proud and happy to see that the New York Knicks have not 1, but 2 guys, 3 guys actually, who stepped up, and Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, and Mitchell Robinson, that we've all drafted in consecutive years, the 18, the 19, and the 20 draft. And the New York Knicks are starting to see the fruits of their labor of doing the work before the draft, and RJ Barrett is a pristine example of what committing to your own players can do, because they stuck by him, they stuck beside him, they tried to trade him, but they didn't like the offers that they were getting, and he's here, and he's probably not going anywhere for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. Obviously, you always drive the point home when it comes to RJ, and you are looking once again, Mensa, like a prophet. That might need to be your new name. I don't know. Shawn, you have anything you want to say about that, or do you want to go on to your shout out?
Excuse me. I'll quickly touch on RJ. I mean, you know, I've developed this saying, I guess, you know, in the KFS faculty chat, they call them Shawnisms, because I come up with these things, I come up with these statements, and I don't know, like maybe they're just, you know, apropos and unique, whatever. But I don't think I made this up, but not all progression is linear. I remember telling that to the Hawks fans who thought that, because they made the Eastern Conference Finals, the next year they're going to make the finals, the next year they win the championship. I say, no, not all progression is linear. And for RJ, clearly his progression has not been linear, but, you know, I cannot remember another player who was decided halfway through his rookie season that he was garbage and he never amount to anything. So I'm so happy to see him continue the progression that we saw from the playoffs last year for the most part. We're not going to talk about Game 6 against Miami, but I'm glad to see it. And, you know, like you said, if we had him yesterday, we probably win. I feel confident that we would have won. For shout outs, I'm going to give a shout out to Kith. And I'm going to give a shout out to Kith because, you know, ever since Nike decided to take the European football jersey model to the United States, actually, and Adidas did before then, but, you know, when you pay the amount of money that you pay for these contracts, like, well, how can we recoup this money? I know we'll come out with brand new jerseys every single year for people to buy. There have been some hits and there's been some misses. And Kith has done, I think this is their 3rd jersey that they've done for us.
4th.
It's 4th. Actually, it's 4th. Yes,
yeah, they did the City Never Sleeps, the 2 black jerseys, and now this one.
Mm-hmm. This one.
So the 3 black jerseys,
and, Yeah. And I remember the first time I saw the City Never Sleeps jersey, I remember saying, I channeled my inner Joe Bud and said this shit was a 2-pack of ass. But then it actually grew on me as I saw it. And I actually said it actually is better as a t-shirt. But actually I saw it like players wearing it. I was like, you know what? It's not bad. It's not bad. It didn't deserve the smoke that it got. And then the two black jerseys in the last 2 years, it was like, these aren't like, okay, they're not like classic home runs, but they're cool. Like, and clearly they embrace like, okay, I don't know if they had a mandate or whatever. Like the primary color of this jersey is going to be black. And this one, we saw the leak. And then we saw the leak online of the picture, and everyone's like, eh. But as I've seen it more and more, I'm like, you know what? It's kind of growing on me. And then when I saw the video this morning, the video unveiling of Jalen and Josh play, I was like, you know what? I think that works. And even though like I wasn't sure about the pinstripes at first, but I was, you know what? I think this works. And I said, you know what? I need to see this in person, because even the statement jersey last year, and they were also wearing this year, when it first came out, I wasn't a big fan of it. Then I saw it in person. I was like, you know what? That works. And I actually have one now. So this jersey, I actually like. I like. And I know people are like, oh, the double lettering and it wears your 3D glasses and the pinstripes. But I think I'm waiting to see this in person, but I think they've done a good job, because honestly, I've seen all the City editions and 5 of them are good. 2 of them is and then the rest are just hot garbage. Like they're just hot garbage. Like Nike should do better. And I say this wearing a Nike jersey right now. But I'm going to give a shout out to Kith. It's hard to please New Yorkers. It's hard to make New Yorkers happy. We don't agree on anything, but I think that they'll like this one. I think more people will like this than don't.
Yeah, I mean, I co-sign your shout out. I like the new jerseys for the City Edition Kith jerseys. I liked them since the rendering came out. I know I was in the minority opinion on that. People were like, yo, what are you talking about? Aren't you a designer? Like, I guess some of the comments that I got, but it's just, to me, like they just look cool. Like, I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's just accurate as far as like best design practices. I wouldn't say necessarily, like, for the most part, you wouldn't want to do, lettering below lettering like that. But I think it just looks cool. And obviously everybody knows who the Knicks are. They know what city they're in. It doesn't really matter if you can make it out or discern it. It just matters how it looks. If it looks cool. So it looks cool to me. So I definitely co-sign that shout out. Anything you want to add on Kith, Mensa?
Yeah, so back in my younger years, I was a sneaker collector. I don't collect sneakers anymore because expensive and rent. But so the first pair of sneakers that, like, my first pair of Grails that I actually bought was back in 2013. I bought a pair of Ronnie Fieg's ASIC Gel Light 3, the Miami Dolphins collection that he did. He did a Miami Dolphins pair, and he did a Knicks pair, and the Miami Dolphins pair was perfect. So I've been following this guy for 10 years, and when he got the Knicks deal, I had such high expectations. And then, like, the jerseys, they weren't what I was expecting. Like, he did a collaboration with the Giants, and he did this cream Giants jersey. It was amazing. And I'm a Jets fan, so if I like the Giants jersey, he did a really good job. So to see these jerseys and to see that he did the pinstripes, which is like a kind of classic, like Yankees kind of thing. And I did not think the New York was going to work. Like the renderings, I didn't like them at all. I just thought it looked kind of cluttered, especially with the pinstripes. But the pinstripes, like that tone is understated, and the New York kind of does pop, and it makes a lot of sense. And then to see it with the court, which we don't got to get into the court because boy, oh boy, I'm not happy with this new court thing that the NBA is trying. But the jerseys, I think they're really good, and I'm debating between either getting a Jalen Brunson or a Mitchell Robinson, but I really like these jerseys, and I think I'm going to buy one. So yeah, great shout out.
I also think the courts are going to be kind of dope. We'll see, but I feel like we're going to just like it. I feel like just watching, it's going to look so different and just weird and be like, yo, what kind of game is this? Because you never see these like dark color courts, all color courts like that. So maybe the Knicks won't look the best because it's mostly orange instead of blue, but I think some of the court colors around the league are going to look really dope. I hate to say it, but I love Toronto's look. I think that one looks really.
Theirs is excellent.
Yeah. So let me go over to my shout out, and it'll be quick. I'm not going to be too long winded on this. My shout out is to Mitchell Robinson. I know people probably expected me to go with Quickly, but to me, Quickly has had kind of an up and down start to the season. He's having his typical defensive impact, but I think he's trying to find his footing as far as like how he can make an impact on offense. In such a way that will get him paid, but still providing the kind of impact that we know him to provide. Mitchell Robinson, on the other hand, he is doing it again and doing it at just as high a level as he was doing it last year, maybe even higher. And it's amazing to me, his consistency. The Knicks, as I mentioned at the top, are the number one offensive rebounding team in the NBA. Mitchell Robinson's the number one individual offensive rebounder in the NBA. Offensive rebounding the defensive glass really well as well. And to me, it's just this guy has like a 10 usage. Like that's like bottom percentile in the NBA. And the fact that he's willing to work so hard on the offensive glass and the defensive glass and do all the dirty work, it's just, I think that doesn't get enough credit. I think that's really hard. I think when you see guys on the court, they want to get their points. Like they want to score, they want to be featured, they want to have the ball in their hands, even if they're not skilled guys or guys that we see as skilled. I mean, I think relative to, somebody who doesn't play basketball, Mitchell Robinson's tremendously skilled, can probably do stuff with the ball that most of us can't do that are a foot shorter than him. But at the same time, it's just like, you really want to have the ball and feel it. And the guy has a 10% usage. Like that is bottom. And probably all of his usage comes from his offensive rebounding or lobs, So he's completely dependent on the rest of the team. And yet he still puts in this crazy effort defensively, turning shots away, not just blocking shots, but with his presence. He's playing really well in the drop defense as he typically does. He's been able to switch out a little bit on the perimeter and just doing his usual offensive rebounding thing. And everybody who knows me knows that I have been concerned and called the Knicks offense last year rat fake because I didn't know if the offensive rebounding thing could translate into the playoffs and be sustainable across multiple seasons. But yeah, I think with Mitch, it can, because he just does it. And the teams know coming in, you had a whole offseason for coaches to prepare and say, you know what Mitch wants to do, you know what the Knicks want to do, let's figure out how to stop it. And they can't stop him. They can't stop him. It's crazy for me to say that they can't stop Mitchell Robinson. So yeah, that's definitely who my shout out is going to. I don't know if either of you want to jump on that.
Yeah, I'll quickly add. Mitchell Robinson has 25 field goals on the season, and I believe 57 total rebounds. So he has 2 more rebounds than field goal attempts, and he has 30 offensive rebounds to 25 field goal attempts. So this is a guy who is doing all of the dirty work. I think Mitchell Robinson being one of the 5 or 6 longest tenured Knicks. I think they showed that graphic. 6 years in the program and has grown into an excellent basketball player. I think he's one of the 10 best defenders in the league today. And we need to start the conversation about Mitchell Robinson being a generationally great rebounder. And we got this guy in the second round of, to me, maybe the greatest draft of all time. You look at that 2018 draft and it's insane. But Mitchell Robinson, what he's doing, like, just think, okay, let's think about the 2018 draft. We got the 31st pick in that draft. I think 31st. Jalen Brunson, our starting point guard, and our starting center was picked 38th in the same draft. 2 high-level starters in the second round of one draft. Insane stuff. But what Mitchell Robinson is doing, it's like, again, how RJ Barrett has grown up. It's like Mitchell Robinson. Okay, the way I like to compare it is RJ Barrett is taking the leap. Mitchell Robinson has arrived. Like, where he's at right now is so comforting. He has been the most consistent Knick. While RJ Barrett's been the best on both ends, I think Mitchell Robinson's just been the best Knick flat out because he's the most dominant player and he's dominant every single night. I think they are, I think Breen and Clyde, they were talking that he's on the longest streak of his career with 20 plus minutes and 1 or less fouls. It's crazy. Like, I never thought that the Mitchell Robinson that came into this league, who was a foul machine, he would foul out of games regularly. It was insane the amount of fouls he was picking up. For him at 6 years into the league to be the consistent beacon of excellence that this defense is, because while Isaiah Hartenstein has been great, it starts and ends with Mitchell Robinson on the defensive end. Just to see where he has grown into, I think that he deserves all the flowers. And going forward, I'm going to be referring to this guy as a generationally great rebounder, maybe the best of his generation so far.
Strong take to end it, but it's definitely an argument. And if he keeps it going like this, it may not be an argument anymore. Anything you want to add about Mitch, Shawn?
Mitch, I remember the guy, I remember when Mitch was the guy that could not set a proper screen, jumped at everything, any ball fake, any shot fake, anything. He was trying to block everything. And I remember there was a real question, when he wasn't extended, like, should we keep him? Should we trade him? What have you? And I was like, you know what? If I'd like to keep him, but if he wants ridiculous amounts of money, maybe we should let him go. But listen, I've said this on Spaces. I've said this to people. This team the Knicks are built around Mitchell Robinson on both sides of the court. Not that he's a primary option or the franchise player, but like what he does and doesn't do is the basis for what this team does. Defensively, I mean, it's no contest, but like, again, offensively, like our rat fake offense was rat fake because he just grabbed every offensive rebound. And guess what? When you get offensive rebound, he's scoring that possession. It's not 2 possessions, it's 1. So the only thing I'm really miffed at about Mitch is that every time I bet large amounts of money on him to hit his rebound props, he doesn't get them. And then the next night he does. Although he would have got him against Cleveland on Tuesday night. But since we beat them bloody, he didn't play the fourth quarter. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to bet it tonight. And then he had 9 rebounds at half. But listen, man, God bless Mr. Robinson.
And we can't close out a Mitch conversation, without mentioning the fact that he is making $15.7 million this year, $14.3 next year, $12.9 the following year. Descending contract. This guy is going to be making $13 million in 2025-26 while being one of the premier centers in the NBA.
Crazy stuff.
Crazy.
And I remember there was a report that came out that the Knicks were asking for, like, as teams called during the offseason, teams were they were asking for 2 first-round picks for Mitchell Robinson. Do you think the Memphis Grizzlies would give up 2 first-round picks right now to have Mitchell Robinson? The guy's amazing, and I think we can't say enough about him at this point.
Absolutely. Let's move on to our next segment. This is another new segment. This is something we like to call Why So Unserious. For this one, we're going to make our choice of who around the Knicks has been most unserious since our last Casual Friday. Again, we have from the great GMAC our following options. Julius Randle, he probably won't get picked, right? The NBA officials, Captain America, Jalen Brunson on the list, and Thomas Joseph Thibodeau Jr. on the list. I'm going to kick this one off. We had a pre-show debate about who would get to talk about Julius Randle in this segment. take you behind the curtain.
Very intense game of rock, paper, scissors, guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's obvious why. I mean, we know who's been the most unserious so far in this season, right? It's only 5 games, and I'm going to couch everything I say with that fact because it's a valid fact and it's true and it's relevant to all of our takeaways. But for me, I have to think that Julius Randle's mental is not in a good place right now. Because we've all heard him talk about how important his mental is. And really the reason I say that is because not only has his effort been bad, but his decision-making has been worse. And he clearly just doesn't trust his instincts at all. His processing speeds are even lower than usual. And Mensa always says You can say your line. I don't want to even say it for you. What's the line, Mensa?
I was gonna save this, but yeah, Julius Randle processes like a computer with Windows 98, but now it's like he's processing with like a Windows Vista computer that has one too many LimeWire downloads. Like it's been terrible. The computer has a virus, guys. Like it's not good. It's not what you want.
It's not good. And I'm glad I let you say that because I couldn't have said it better. It's not good. And to me, I just think it comes from a place of lacking confidence. And okay, let's just keep it real, right? The shooting is horrible so far, obviously. Randall shot a career high 66% at the rim last year, currently shooting 29% at the rim. He's shooting 29% from the mid-range, shooting 26% from three. I'm sorry.
Please hide the percentile data, please.
Wait,
I'm not even mentioning
the rim again. 27%.
He's shooting 29% at the rim.
Yo,
he shot 66% at the rim last year.
I feel like I could shoot 29% at the rim. Like
that's 3 out of 10. Like
3 out of 10.
But okay,
and
so
I'm not 6'9".
In more ways than one, you're not 6'9". But yeah, I to me it's much less about the percentages than it is about like his decision making. Like he's passing up shots that he should take. He's forcing shots that he has no business taking. Like it's almost, to me, like as a baseball fan, it's almost like a baseball player that's in a slump or a hitter that's in a slump where he's like taking strikes down the pipe and he's swinging at balls on the outside. It's like, you're all confused, my guy. Like, and one thing I want to say before I toss it over to you guys to see your thoughts. I mean, everyone seemed to take it as a given that last year, his shot profile was so amazing. And that means his performance is going to be sustainable because all he has to do is maintain that shot profile. But I talked about this on the Hot Hand Theory podcast. If we look at Randall's actual shot quality from last year, so B-Ball Index does a great job of quantifying the shot quality. His shot quality was bottom 4th percentile in the league last year, right? That's the year when everybody said, wow, his shot diet's amazing and all he has to do is sustain it. It was bottom 4th percentile in the league. And the reason is because that takes into consideration not just the location, which was excellent last year, but the actual defense being played, the type of shot that he's taking, and like whether he's in motion or standing still. Again, bottom 4th percentile in the entire league. And if we look, it's really funny because if we look at the shot chart this year, it looks exactly the same as last year. Like exactly the same. Like I'm not going to read through the percentages. It's exactly the same as last year. And so I don't think it's just about where Randall shoots from. I think it's about how difficult he makes those shots that he takes. Like when he bullies to the rim and he's shooting on the way down with a defender draped on him, like that's a hard shot. Last year, he was making those. Is he going to make those with the same consistency this year? I don't know. Or on the 3-point line, it's when he catches the ball and then he waits for the defender to close out and takes a contested 3 off a jab step rather than just an in rhythm wide open 3. Those make a huge difference in sustainability. So it's not just the area of the court, it's the kinds of shots that you're getting. So for me, for Randall, it's all about effort and decision making, and he needs to have better decision making with the kinds of shots that he takes. And he just needs to show consistent effort. I know for him, it's like results often lead to a lack of decision making, and effort. But he's going to have to kind of work through that, obviously. Again, I will just caveat that little mini rant with saying 5 games, he's going to turn it around. He's obviously not going to shoot what Shawn would shoot from the rim over the course of a season. So, he's going to turn it around. But that's definitely my candidate for the person who's been the most unserious so far.
Yeah, Julius Randle has been like the poster boy of unserious, and I've been tweeting about it for a while. I'm not really the scoring isn't bothering me. It's the decision making specifically on defense. It's like he's moving out there at 25% on defense. He's so lackadaisical, and that's not what we need. On Twitter last night, Knicks Twitter basically, like as a family, sent him to Minnesota, and I thought it was pretty funny, but it's emblematic of just the the frustration that we're dealing with. Benji did a really good job touching on this on the post-game live stream about how continuity is kind of working against the Knicks right now because we're not seeing 5 games of this. This is like game 300 of the same stuff that we're seeing again and again and again, and it grates at you. So Julius Randle, I think that's what it's been, is that the play has been, as a fan, it's been grating. And I do want to do I don't want to make personal comments about Julius Randle. I don't want to talk about him as a person. I just want to talk about the basketball here. And what I saw from him in the Cleveland Cavaliers game, the second one, is a guy who looked like James Harden who wanted to be traded. Like, that's the effort that I saw on defense from him. It was really, it wasn't what you want to see. And I think that his teammates, forget the fans, I think his teammates deserve better. And I hope that the good news is he has 77 more games to be better, but we need to see him be a better basketball player.
And it's funny you say that, Mensa, about his teammates need him to be better, because I led the show off with saying the vibes are mutinous. If this keeps up, one Ron Alexander Barrett Jr., if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's gonna look at Julius Randle and put up 2 fingers and say, "Look at me, look at me, look at me. I am the captain now."
I love it.
Because we can't have this anymore. Like this has been. I said on Twitter a few days ago, because someone tweeted was like, "How do Knicks fans put up with Julius, like the inconsistency of Randle?" And I said it's a roller coaster for sure, but some people handle it better than others. But it's a roller coaster. Like, the fact that this odd year, even year thing might be a thing is insane. Like, what player goes from all NBA to bad to all NBA to but the reason why I say we don't have to put up with this anymore, because yes, there was a time where, like, in 2021, Julius was like, he was the engine. We didn't have any other choice. And in 2022, even though as bad as that season went, we couldn't depend on Kemba's knee was cooked and RJ was still inefficient, whatever. But from the day Leon Rose took over till now, like, all the Knicks do is just acquire good basketball players. I was at the game on Wednesday night, and I was with my man Cedric, and I was telling him, like, the Knicks are really good at getting the guy, like, trading a guy that either doesn't play or is not good enough and upgrading. Like, we went from we replaced Cam Reddish. Well, I'll go back further. We replaced Kemba Walker with Jalen Brunson. We replaced Cam Reddish with Josh Hart. We replaced Obi, and granted, I'm not going to bang on Obi, but Obi was getting 12 minutes a game. We replaced him with Dante DiVincenzo. This team keeps acquiring good players, and these good players are not going to just sit back forever and allow you to do the thing that you're doing. Now, again, like AJ said, it's 5 games. Literally it's like Fred Katz said, when something goes wrong on the basketball court badly to this effect, the reasons are not basketball. But Julius Randle is a free agent after next season. Like, we can't have, there's only but so much. This franchise, the players, the coaches, the trainers, can only put up with this roller coaster ride for so long.
And I'll just say real quick, my concern is that the fact that it's a roller coaster is going to scare teams away. Even if he turns it around and has another tremendous season, I think that other teams, if we were ever shopping him or, looking to put him as a part of a star trade package, other teams are going to be concerned that this could happen at any point. Right. So that's a big concern that I have. Who wants to go next for their candidate for why so unserious?
I'll go next. And real quick, I just want to say, I'm not trading Julius Randle. I'm not sending him to Minnesota. I'm not saying we should give up on him, but to the point, the roller coaster, like, you can only ride the Great American Scream Machine so many times before your stomach just turns into knots, So my unserious candidate, I'm going to go off the board. Sorry, Andrew, don't kill me. My unserious candidate is going to be a group of people I call the pump fakers. And for the pump fakers, I will reference a tweet by the Strickland Swinny Poo, who said a few days ago, take a shot every time every time Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson pump fake out of an open three. And
I wouldn't recommend that, guys.
I said, I was on the daily playback on the Hoop Spaces Network today, and I said, listen, if you want to get smashed up, take a shot every time a Nick take a shot every time a Nick pump fakes out of an open three. Take the fucking shot, please. If you're open, take the shot. I was at the game yesterday. To pump fake out of an open shot, to dribble into an already crowded lane is just mind-boggling. It just happens over and over and over and over again. Listen, Russell Westbrook is a terrible three-point shooter. He's a career 31% three-point shooter. He has never been, I think the best season he's ever had, I think, was 34%. That's the best season he's ever had. When Russ is open for three, he takes the shot. And you know why he takes a shot? Because if he hits a few of them, you have to respect it. Or at the very least, the defense has to at least think about, all right, maybe I got to come out there. Maybe I got to do. We can't, spacing is already this year already. As I said earlier, Mitchell Robinson, this team is built around Mitchell Robinson more than people realize, especially on the offensive end, because of his offensive rebounding and because Mitch does not do anything with the ball outside of 3 feet, which is fine. God bless him. I took a picture of him at the Meet the Knicks event. He's great. He's tall as hell. However, you have to take the shot. We cannot make this job any harder for ourselves. Please, Josh Hart. Please, Jalen Brunson. Please, Julius Randle. Please, Quentin Grimes. Take the shot. If you're open, take the shot.
You think that Shawn wants them to take the shot, or
I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell, guys. I don't know. No, I'm
not gonna 100%. Lie. I'm not gonna lie. Real quick, I did have Josh Hart over 1.5 threes yesterday, and I watched him fake.
That's where the hostility is coming from.
Here it is.
I watched him pump fake out. No, I'm just cut that part out. I don't want to see. Andrew, cut that part out. I don't want to seem like,
it's all in. It's all in.
No,
it's all in.
Cut that part out. Cut that part out. No, but seriously, cut that part out. I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, you suck. You're mad because you're expected to hit. I'm trying to maintain some credibility.
It's still credible. It's still credible because they do need to take the shot, because it's not just about it's effing up the flow of the offense. It causes 3-second violations. It throws the whole offense out of whack. It doesn't allow Mitch to time his positioning for offensive rebounds. You got to take the shot when you have it. You know who takes the shot? Emmanuel Quickly takes the shot. Emmanuel Quickly ain't pump faking off the shot and doing nothing. He's pulling up if he got it. And the rest of them need to follow suit, because it's completely necessary. It's a necessary component of a well-flowing offense. Again, at bare minimum, it's preventing Mitch from being able to time his positioning to get into the paint and grab some offensive rebounding. So not only does it mess up their flow and mess up the spacing, which they've had spacing issues all season so far, but it's just creating a less efficient offense. Even if you take it and miss it, at least you know who might be grabbing it if you do it in rhythm. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's at the point where guys are pump faking, and instead of defenders getting out with their hand up, they're getting into their defensive stance because they know you're coming their way.
Absolutely,
it's not what you want. I think you guys hit the nail on the head. We need to be a more confident offense and shoot the ball, and I know Tibbs is preaching that.
Absolutely. Well said. Yeah, Mensa, to you, who is your candidate? You can go with the options that GMAC gave us, the NBA officials, Jalen Brunson, Tom Thibodeau, or you can go off the board like Shawn did.
I want to go off the board here. I do. I want to go off the board, and I want to give the why so unserious to. I want to give it to Josh Hart. If I'm being honest, I feel like Josh Hart has not been his best self. I think that while he has you can't question Josh Hart's energy. You can't question what he gives you on the defensive end. He's giving us his offensive rebounding, but there are times in the game where I'm watching Josh Hart and I'm like, is he giving us anything positive? Which is night and day from what we got from him in the playoffs last year and from what we got from him in the regular season post trade. I think Josh Hart was brought to this team, and especially with the whole Villanova Knicks agenda, Jalen Brunson. It's been difficult for Jalen Brunson because nobody's really been shooting, especially last night. It was just him in the starting five with Quentin Grimes, who hasn't been playing very well, and with Josh Hart, Julius Randle not shooting too well. But with Josh Hart, especially because the bar was so low for him to clear last year because RJ Barrett having a career worst year, we not necessarily romanticized him, but he was a breath of fresh air for us. And right now he's looking like the guy who got traded a couple times in his career. And that's not what we need him to be. He's supposed to be one of our vets. He's supposed to be consistent, and I value him for what he gives us defensively. I value him for his leadership, but he took a layup. I forgot. It was I feel like it was an air ball, scoop shot, and I just didn't understand it. I'm like, why? What's going on with this guy? And actually, if I can share my why so unserious, the other guy I want to give it to, who's not on the board, is Quentin Grimes, who I feel like he's been playing basketball like my gym teacher from the 8th grade. The way he's so talented. That's where I want to start. I want to start with the truth about Quentin Grimes. He's a talented basketball player. He has 40% three-point shooting for him, which is worth about nothing because he hasn't been shooting 40%. So we need him to get there. But he just needs to slow down. In fact, it's not why so unserious for Quentin Grimes. It's why are you so serious? You are too serious, my man. Bring it down some, unserious up a little bit, and let the game flow. It feels like what happened? It was an instance when I think Donovan Mitchell fell. He fell to the floor, and Quentin Grimes still rushed the corner 3-point attempt. And I'm like,
yeah, he did. Yeah, it's you could have just easily taken your time, man.
You could have done the James Harden. You could have took 1-2 dribbles and you could have squared up. And he's just so he's moving way too fast. I just need him. The minute Quentin Grimes slows the game down, the minute it slows down for him is the minute this guy is going to take off and really be one of the maybe one of the I want to say 10 to 15 most important role players in the league, because he gives you that defensively. It's just on offense, we need him to be more serious with the ball in his hands and to slow down and just let the game come to him. He's been more frustrating, I think, than Josh Hart for me, is Quentin Grimes. But those two together, they're we need them to be better.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We definitely need them to be better, and I believe that they will. I think you really hit it, Mensa, when you said we're kind of getting the Josh Hart that has been traded a couple times, because this Josh Hart is the one that was in Portland before he was traded to the Knicks and kind of rejuvenated his season and seemingly his career. Not that he was on the downturn or anything, but he was not having a great season when he got traded from Portland. And to me, that's the only reason why anybody could have had an issue with the pick that the Knicks traded for him. But, obviously he got to the Knicks and then completely took off. He seems like he's back to that Portland guy, but again, we've said about everything here, 5 games. And, I believe Josh and Quentin Grimes, I have more on him in a little bit, are going to turn it around pretty soon here. So Shawn, anything you want to add on those two?
No, I think Mensa hit the nail on the head. I mean, when Josh Hart showed up here, he was shooting 55% from 3, and obviously we knew that wasn't sustainable. But I think someone said yesterday, if Josh Hart is not rebounding and defending and he's pumping out of threes, what is he doing? So So again, it's been 5 games, but we need, and listen, Josh Hart has embraced being in New York, telling Jason Tatum to get out of here and get a New York braid in his hair, whatever. But we need, we just need more. And then for Grimes, listen, like you said, when he figures it out, when the light bulb goes off for Grimes, there's a really good player in there. There's going to be a really good player in there. But as I said earlier, not all progression is linear. So I have no problem being patient with Quentin Grimes. He's younger, but we would like to see them take steps forward.
Absolutely. All right, let us close out with our final segment. It's a segment where we're going to do one bold prediction for over the next week until the next Casual Friday. So it could be anything. It could be a prediction for something that's going to happen. It can be a bet that we would take. Anything like that. Let's see what each of the three of us have. Let's start with Shawn. Let's throw it back to you immediately. What do you got?
Okay. My bold take is that Wednesday, November 8th, 2023 is going to be the national coming out party for Mitchell Robinson, because that day we host the San Antonio Spurs on ESPN. And there's going to be all this talk about Wemby, and Wemby's going to do this to the Knicks, whatever. And Mitchell Robinson is going to fold Victor Wembanyama and stick him in the basket. He's going to bully him. He's going to beat him up. He's going to get rebound after rebound after rebound. And then people watching naturally are going to say oh, wait a minute. This Mitchell Robinson guy is pretty good. And we're all New Yorkers and be like, we've been saying this for about 2 years now. So my bet is that, in fact, listen, if you're like me and you're into gambling and stuff, if you can find some props on some player awards for Mitchell Robinson, the chatter will increase, because like I said, Mitch is going to stick Victor Wembanyama in the basket next Wednesday night.
I think we would obviously all love to see it. I've gotten a chance to watch a little bit of Wemby. He can kind of float in and out of games. When he's engaged and seems like he's locked in, he's tough. He's tough right off the bat. But I definitely believe Mitch can kind of handle him physically, at least at this stage in his career. So I could totally see it.
I mean, if you're not watching, I'm gonna do what Mitchell Robinson did. I think after a game 3 or game 4 against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and shook. They're gonna be Victor Wembanyama is going to be shivering, shook when he has to face Mitchell Robinson, because, like Shawn said, one thing about Victor Wembanyama is he's very high, right? So Mitchell Robinson and his understanding of center of gravity is going to push Victor Wembanyama out to the 3-point line. He's not going to get, if he gets more than 6 rebounds, I will be shocked. I think Mitchell Robinson's going to dominate Victor Wembanyama on November 8th for sure.
That's so interesting. So you guys have him dominating Wemby. I think he's gonna win that matchup in terms of the clash on the glass, but I think he's shown me something already so far, but I definitely think and hope that Mitch is up to the task. He's been, and I will say so far this season, an elite center. And I hope that he continues along that pace. So for another bold prediction, let's go to you, Mensa. What do you got?
Bold prediction over the next week or so?
Over the next week. Yeah, anything that could happen over the next week.
Okay, bold prediction. After we spent so much time dunking on Julius Randle, my bold prediction until it happens is that Julius Randle is going to wake up and be the all-NBA basketball player that we need him to be. I mean, he's been playing he saw there was a study that came out, I think this week or last week, about the 2 states that have the most stress-free lifestyles, Minnesota and Utah. And it looks like Julius Randle is trying to see what that's about, the way he's been playing. Hey, they live stress-free over in Minnesota, even Utah, Hey, and both of those teams have power forwards that I would not mind having on my basketball team. But
one power forward in particular that somebody would really like to have on his basketball team.
You know the power forward that I'd love to have on this basketball team, who is a perfect fit over Julius 100%.
100%. But I think he's going to wake up. I think he's going to get it together. Let's look at I quickly looked at it. I think tomorrow we have Milwaukee, and Giannis normally puts Julius Randle in the toilet and flushes. Like, it's normally really bad. But I think the way that Milwaukee's been playing, I think Julius Randle is going to catch lightning in a bottle. Again, we have the Clippers. The Clippers don't really have anybody right now that can guard Julius Randle. With the trade of I don't think PJ Tucker's playing yet. They just got rid of Marcus Morris. They just got rid of Robert Covington. So while PG and Kawhi are great defenders, Julius Randle does have the weight advantage on them. And then one thing about Julius Randle is that he plays against star. Like when a star is on the other side of him, he tends to play better. And then we have the Spurs, who I think by that point Julius Randle would have had 2 good games under his feet, and he'd be rolling. So I'm expecting Julius Randle to get it together now, because if he doesn't get it together now, the Knicks season is in jeopardy in terms of reaching their ceiling. I think whether or not Julius Randle gets his act together, the Knicks are going to be good this year, but it keeps us from reaching our potential if Julius Randle isn't the all NBA player. So we need him, and we need him bad.
Yeah, I think you could quantify what that breakout would look like, Mensa. Like, what do you think is going to happen?
Return to Mr. 25 and 10. I think so.
All right, 25 and 10. Going for that. Yeah, that would be really impressive to see that bounce back. I'm hoping that the in-season tournament works as playoff training wheels for Julius Randle. It's like he gets a little bit of pressure. Like, the court's different. All right, you can feel that something's going on. I don't know. Something feels different, but it's not playoff level.
Somebody needs to put a meme together with a dad and their son and Julius Randle on the tricycle and Tom Thibodeau pushing the trike. That I would probably make that my profile picture for a month. It would be great.
That's hilarious. I'm getting in my ear that APJP, assistant producer Justin Palmer, is asking us to react to Charles Barkley saying that the Knicks need Cat. A live producer's note that I'm receiving. Do you guys have thoughts on that while we're on the subject?
Yeah, let me jump in while I'm here. I am Knicks Film School's closet Cat supporter. I think I'm the only guy who likes Cat on our roster here. I would love Cat, but
I was gonna say I like Cat not as a 4, as a 5.
But that's what I'm saying. I think because when I watch what Julius Randle is giving us and I watch what Cat's giving us, what's the difference? At least Cat's going to shoot that thing when he's open, and at least he's going to set some good screens. And one thing about him is he's such a fast processor on offense. He makes lightning fast passes, and he's very accurate. So I'd like to see him, especially because of where Mitchell Robinson is. I don't think that you can trade Mitchell Robinson for any center other than Joel Embiid. He's just been, as far as what you're getting value per dollar, nobody is going to be you're not getting Nikola Jokic. That's way out of the question, but you're not trading him for Karl Anthony Towns. At this point, if you ask me who would I rather have on my team, Mitchell Robinson or Karl Anthony Towns, I'm saying Mitchell Robinson, and I'm not thinking about it, especially considering he's making 30%, 35% of what Cat's about to command on that extension. So, yeah, but if we get him as a power forward, I think that his offensive ceiling, along with Jalen Brunson, those two offensively, wow. I mean, it would be special, especially with RJ Barrett on the wings and Mitchell Robinson and cleaning up the paint, even having to switch out on. If he has to switch, you don't want him to switch because you want him around the rim for offensive rebound and that kind of stuff. But I do think it would work, but it would have to be with him as a power forward. I do not want Karl Anthony Towns as a center on this basketball team.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick that I know I jumped in ahead of you, Shawn. I just wanted to respond to that really quick. I also agree that I would not want to bring in Cat and ship out Mitch at this point. But for that reason, I just don't think he's a fit on the team. If the Knicks didn't have a center, or, had a worse center than Mitchell Robinson, then I would be more interested. But I just, I think at the 4, he can definitely play the 4. It can be effective, but where Cat's like a difference maker, like high impact player to me is like at the 5, where he's spacing out the court and it completely throws off the opponent's defense, sort of like Porzingis has been doing with Boston. So that's all I would say about it.
Yeah. I actually was, I put a poll out on Twitter, I think on Tuesday, and I said, who's the better player, Julius Randle or Karl-Anthony Towns? And I believe Julius won the poll like 70% of the vote, which, I got a lot of Knicks followers, what have you. But at the same time, it's like, if you break it down, like they're both defensively, they're both a shambles, but offensively, Cat is clearly the better basketball player offensively. So if in a vacuum, I could just say, if I could just take out Julius Randle and put Karl-Anthony Towns, I'm not losing anything, right? But we don't live in a vacuum. We live in New York City, and Karl-Anthony Towns is going to earn $62 million at the end of his contract. And you'd have to trade picks and stuff for him. So listen, what Chuck said the quiet part out loud, that, this team is not challenging Boston, this team is not challenging Milwaukee. They're just like, they're not competing. They're good, but they're just, they're just hovering. Cat shouldn't be the guy that you trade things for, but in a vacuum, it's like, well, like Mensa said, how much do you really like? If you could just do a 1-for-1 swap, how much would you really lose? You gain on defensively, you don't lose anything, and offensively, you improve.
Quick pop quiz for you guys. Who's shooting higher from 3, a higher percentage from 3 this year? Karl-Anthony Towns or Julius Randle?
Right now, probably Julius Randle. Karl-Anthony Towns has been terrible.
That
seems like a trick question. So I'm gonna say now Julius Randle.
Julius Randle is shooting 25.8% from 3. Karl-Anthony Towns is shooting 23.8% from 3. So it is Julius Randle. That is just to say it's a small sample, guys. It's very early in the season. Not to you guys, but just to everyone listening. It's very early. I know it's very easy to react because we're watching all these games and seeing like this terrible shit. But that is just to say it's very early. So I will go ahead with my one bold take or prediction. Mine, it refers to somebody who was on Mensa's Unserious list, Quentin Grimes. So I think Quentin Grimes is going to drop 20 points in one of the games this week, including 5 made threes. That's my bold prediction. Very
You'd love
specific.
to see it. What, man? Listen.
Because listen, you were right, Mensa. Like, there's a lot of things that he's not doing well, and I think you both pointed to it. And right now, he's shooting a garbage 31% from 3, and it does seem like he's off. But he's actually still shooting 40% on catch and shoot 3 so far, which feels shocking. Like, watching the games, it does not feel like he's shooting 40% on catch and shoot 3s. He is 6 of 20 on catch and shoot 3s, 40%. He's 0 of 6 on pull-up 3s. So really, for Grimes, taking dribbles has been the problem. Grimes needs to just shoot the ball. Grimes needs to catch the ball and shoot the ball, and listen to Shawn's advice from earlier in the pod, because he does feel like he's getting sped up. He does feel like he's trying to, like, every shot feels like there's so much pressure on it. Like, he needs to make it. He needs to show that he's like this elite floor spacer. And I think he needs to just chill out, catch the ball, and shoot it. I love against the Hawks when he took a couple threes over Trae Young. They tried to hide Trae Young on Quentin Grimes, and in that case, you have to make Trae Young pay for that. And he did it. He caught a couple open threes and pulled them and shot them right over Trae Young. Attempt at closing out, and he hit both of them. So to me, we're going to see more of that. I see it coming. He still doesn't feel like he's fully calibrated. I think he's trying to do a little too much of whatever JJ Redick tried to teach him this offseason. He just needs to go back to the old school QG, catch and shoot 3s. Again, it seems like he's shooting terribly, shooting 40% on catch and shoot 3s. So I see him putting it together in one of the games coming up this week.
That's a great stat. Wow. 40% on catch and shoot 3s. Just catch them and shoot them, man. Like, That's all you got to do. And if he starts doing that, then God bless.
So go full Klay Thompson and just don't dribble, just catch and shoot.
Full
Simple
Klay
enough.
Thompson. Yeah, simple enough.
Hey, it worked very well for that guy.
Yeah. So I see him hitting 5 threes in a game coming up this week. So I hope that the next Casual Friday could come back and not look stupid. Like he doesn't hit 5 across the next 3 games.
He scored 20 points total.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry. Listen, you don't have to worry about Greg Popovich seeing this and just parking Wemby in the corner the entire time, and Mitchell and just have Mitch looking lost out there. But I stand by, as a kid said, I stand on business. So I stand on what I said.
Respect. Well, yeah, this was a great Casual Friday. Hope you all love the segments that we pulled out, that GMAC has helped us put together and craft it. One final note I wanted to give before we get out of here, a reminder for everyone listening and watching, that Knicks Film School is doing a live watch party tonight at Pennsylvania 6. It's going to be a blast. You know, I personally have crazy FOMO right now because I live in Florida and I can't make it. But I hope everyone goes and I can live vicariously through all of you. And like we talked about, you know, it's the first game of the in-season tournament. We're playing Dame and Giannis. It's going to be crazy. So I would definitely advise checking that out. Anything either of you want to add?
I'll say this. I'll be there. And if any of you have had problems with my takes, you disagree with me, you think I'm bugging, pull up, argue with me. If you
Turn
do
the
a good job,
take your headphones out right now.
pull up, argue with me. And if you do a good job, I may buy you a drink. Penn 6 is on 32nd Street between 6th and 7th Avenue. It's a half a block from Madison Square Garden. Put up or shut up. I'll be there. We'll be there. And this is your one chance. And if you don't pull up and you're in my mentions the following week, I'm going to block you.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. $20 if you RSVP in advance. So RSVP in advance is $25 at the door.
And that
drink
includes
specials.
Food. That includes food.
Includes food. There's going to be drink specials. And I think there's a Knicks tickets raffle. Is that right? I'm not going, so I didn't look too much into it, but
we do fun things like that.
Yeah, there's fun things like that. It's going to be dope. So please check it out. Any last thoughts from you all on the opening week of the season?
No final thoughts, but I do want to bring up, even if you cannot come out with us at Penn 6, we are still going to be doing a post-game live stream after the game. So win, lose, draw, you will be able to hang out with us over here at Knicks Film School.
Absolutely. Well said. That's all for another edition of Formal Friday, formerly known as Casual Friday. Knicks, stop being casual. Get it together. All right, guys.
Indeed.
Later.
Have a good one, guys.